So, Cattle Hide armor, +6 armor. What tier do you guys think Cattle Hide armor belongs in? Now, keep in mind, when we're doing these tier lists, we're doing it, the tier should be relevant to all the items in that rarity, okay? So it's not Cattle Hide armor versus Immortal in the legendary pool. It's only for common items. D, Dumpster, D. It has no passive or special. Top 5. If you guys want, we could, like, maybe it'll be easier if we, like, decide which one we think is S tier and which one we think is F tier. Like, pick, like, our best one and our worst one, and then we can work through the middle. That might make it a little bit easier for us to, like, do it compared to the other items. Like, to me, Cattle Hide armor is somewhere between, like, B and C. In my mind, but... And when you compare it to all the other common items, like, I take cattle... Like, think about how often you take Cattle Hide armor versus what your other two options are when presented 3 choices. It can be used in anything, if not better. Exactly. So, like, it's really good in Warrior, potentially. Or it could be good, like, on, like, Goblins in the early game. Let's just, we can change it later, but... Ultimately, I have to make the decision each time. I'm going to put it in C for now, but we can change it. Alright. Should we go for what we think is the best or the worst next, rather than going in order? I think... What do you guys think? I think Glint Ring is the best one, right? I think Glint Ring belongs in S tier, right off the rip. Anyone want to create a argument for why Glint Ring doesn't belong in S tier? And we don't. The order doesn't really matter, guys. So the first in S tier theoretically is just as good as the last one in S tier. I mean, we can order them if we want to, but I don't think that's that important. All right. What do you guys think is the worst one? I think we can agree that Otherworld Bow is worthless, right? It's F tier. Does anyone want to disagree with that? Order the tiers? Yeah, we can order them. I'm fine with ordering them. Let's just put them all there, and then once we're done, we can order them. Just, it'll make it easier for me. Never seen the game? Well, you're in for a good learning experience. Bow could be helpful late game. Crit is the worst. The only situation I ever see bow, like, somewhat okay is, like, if you're putting it on Tortola to keep it in the corner or something. Or if you're putting it on a Dwarf. Like, let's say you put it on Sniper and you have Dwarf Synergy active. You guys think Otherworld Bow should be D tier and not F tier? Does anyone else agree with Meadow that it should be D and not F? You guys are presenting arguments for the bow that I never even really considered. I just thought it was garbage and ignored it every time. D, it's not the worst. You guys are like presenting these very edge case scenarios where I guess it has some usefulness, but I'm not sure that it's changing my mind, but oh, we're saying Crit Dagger is definitely F tier though. There's like 3 or 4 F tier items. Yeah, I kind of agree. I feel like Crystal Sword and Bow should both be F tier, but yeah, no, we're fine with doing more than one for S tier and F tier. It's fine. Especially when there's a bunch of items, but maybe with the smaller, like Legendary has less unit or items, maybe we'll have less in each. Let's just go back in order. Ring of Life, HP regen plus 20. Where do you guys think Ring of Life belongs? How about you limit time to decide for each item? This is going to take 5 hours. Yeah, we can speed it up. It might be a little slow at the beginning, but we'll figure out a pace here. S tier, D tier. I know Cuddy really likes to play Ring of Regen or Ring of Life. He's adamant that it's really good. I actually kind of like it if I'm playing 3 goblins in the early game, and then I'll always reforge it later, so I don't keep it the entire game. Or if I'm playing like 4 cave, I kind of like it. To me, it's like C tier, maybe B tier. Anyone besides Cuddy have an opinion? Ain't no way it's above Cattlehide. Interesting. I kind of like it. In the early game, I kind of like it better than armor normally, but that's just me. Some of these are so close, it's not like a huge deal. It's not about liking, bro. You can legit 1-3 versus warriors or goblins or knights, and streaking is the most important part. Yeah, that's true. Like, let's say you get 2 or 3 Ring of Lives in the early game. Like, if you pick all Ring of Lives in the early game, then it kind of makes your unit, like, invincible until, like, round 10. And you can 100% till round 10, basically. So there is some value there if you can triple up on it or double up on it. All right. Magic Spar. A. I feel like Magic Spar and Mana Crystal will probably have the same ranking because they serve very similar purposes. And I feel like they're either both A tier or both B tier. We're getting some hate, some D's. Put chat on screen so YouTube can see all our great input. All right, you guys, if I'm gonna do this, you guys have to behave, okay? No using your normal potty mouse, because I can't get this taken down. Best behavior. So we got a bunch of people saying D, one person saying B, one person saying C, one person saying A. I think it's either A or B myself. Lots of people saying C or D though. I don't see it. Like, let's say you guys like are gonna force mages or gonna force divinity or gonna force priest or even greater. You guys don't go for the mana magic spar or the mana crystal. Like, I feel like I go for these all the time. Or if like I get goblins, like if I get 3 goblins and I have heaven bomber, I'm going for one of these. If my other choices are like pretty bad, you know. If you force mage and choose this item instead of the 40 mana one, that's your mistake. I think there's a case that they both have. I mean, they both serve a very similar purpose, right? If you're gonna play a unit that's gonna generate a lot of mana, either through its base attacks or because you're gonna frontline it, then I think taking the magic spar can be better than taking the mana crystal. Because the mana crystal just gives you 40 mana, while this increases the amount of mana you're generating. So if you're already generating a lot of mana through a lot of base attacks or by having it in the front and it's absorbing a lot of attacks, then I think Magic Spark can be better. Crystal user always cast their skill first. That's interesting, guys. That everyone seems to think that the mana crystal is so much better, because in my mind, it's not that way. Oh, I'm going to have to edit chat again. It's overlapping. Should we do B and C then? B for Mana Crystal, C for Magic Spark. Mana Crystal, B, Magic Spark, C. Yeah, maybe we should like move both of these up one. Let's just move on and we'll come back to it, all right? Broken Sword. We do gotta speed it up a little bit. Broken Sword plus 15 attack. In my mind, Broken Sword is A tier, right on the edge of S tier. If you're playing any melee build, assassins, hunter, assassins or hunter, you definitely want Broken Sword. Like, if anyone watches Calm Before Storm stream and he plays like 9 assassins every single game, all he does is pick Broken Sword because of how good it is. He just reforges for like 1,000,000 Broken Swords. The only item I pick, like, no matter what, if it comes up, is Glint Ring, personally. And sometimes I always pick Spirit Talisman. We'll get to the Talisman, though. Alright, Life Crystal. I feel like Life Crystal is B. Maybe A? A or B? Probably B. Let me ask you guys this. What's better? Mana Crystal or Life Crystal? Because in my mind, Mana Crystal and Life Crystal, Mana Crystal is better than Life Crystal. So maybe Mana Crystal needs to be A and Life Crystal needs to be B. It's so funny seeing people's different opinions, man. Cuddy's opinions are wildly different than most everybody else. But that doesn't mean he's wrong. If he's consistent with his line of thinking, it can work. Life Crystal's better than Sword? I think we'll start with Life Crystal in A. Defense does not win games. That's what I think, man. Like when you pick, like let's say you pick Life Crystal, Armor as your first 3 items, and you have like 3 or 4 warriors in the early game, you're gonna get wrecked by the person who picked Double Broken Sword and Glint Ring. You know what I mean? That's just my feeling. All right, Magic Staff, magical damage plus 15%. D, D, C or D, F probably D, solid B, B or C. I think it's D tier. I think it's bad. It's only good if you have Sandbound and you're going to play Sandbound until round 10, then it's fine because it's good on Sandbound. Or if you have Swordman 2-star or something, or like a Thunder Spirit, like it's okay on that stuff, but it's almost overkill or just bad most of the time, in my mind. Wooden Club. So much better than Sword? You're saying Kettlehide is better? It's so funny, like, people's, like, differing opinions, man. Some people are, like, so adamant that what we're saying is completely wrong. It's funny. That's why tier list, man, creates so much discussion and controversy. S tier for Wooden Club? Really? Dude, this is crazy. In my mind, Wooden Club is like B tier. I think Sword and Glint Ring are way better than Wooden Club. Wooden Club is better than Sword 100%. This is crazy. This whole time I've been convinced that Sword is better than Wooden Club. And I've always avoided Wooden Club if I have Sword and Wooden Club in the same shop. Even if I already have one Sword, I always take Sword again. It also makes you get mana faster. I guess that's right. If it's ranked below Sword, we riot. If there was anything I was sure of when going into this, it was that Sword was better than Wooden Club. And now you guys are like breaking my brain here. I think for now I'm just gonna put it in A tier. We can argue once we finish the list. We can argue where everything belongs and change it. Do I need to get my math book out here, Wills? It's better. At least put it before Sword. Yeah, we can do like I said, the ordering doesn't really matter, but we can reorder it after we're finished if you guys want. All right, we already did these ones. Blood Echo. Blood Echo, guys. I think Blood Echo is okay. Not in the. I think it's kind of bad in the early game unless you have like Umbra or Skull Hunter. It can be. It's actually one of the ones you can use in the late game, though. Like if you're running K Prodigy or Razor Claw, it's good in the late game. It's like in the early game, it's almost an F, honestly. But then by the late game, it becomes an S or an A. But yeah, its usefulness is so narrow and so specific that overall, you're normally not like picking it in the early game almost ever, right? You're almost always skipping it and picking it up later. I think we should put it in D tier, but put a note that it's good to take in the late game if you're playing a summoner build. You guys okay with that? Stealth Cloak. Stealth Cloak is very similar to Blood Echo, where in the early game it's almost worthless, but in the late game it can be somewhat helpful if you're playing against mages and you don't have the ability to put in Marines. You will like combine this with Abyss Orb. Think about this, Wills. If your shop is Bow, Crit Sword, and Flame Orb. What's Flame Orb? You mean Blood Echo? Which one would I pick? I would pick Crit Sword. I would pick random, but I would probably pick random or Crit Sword if I didn't want to risk losing losing Blood of Echo for later in the game. I think Cloak is like C, man. It's not great in the early game. It's okay in the late game, but it's not even amazing. It's just okay. I think we can just put it in C and call it a day, personally. Spirit Talisman. I think Talisman's B. Maybe we can make an argument for C. We're definitely going to put a note that it's the only way to counter 4 priest synergy in terms of items. So I will definitely make that note. Yeah, like if this meta was like, if this was like 2 weeks ago, then Spirit Talisman would be like an S tier item because everyone was playing priest. Not everyone, but priest was, there was one priest in every lobby, so you needed to have a Spirit Talisman, right? And now, no one plays priest, so now it doesn't really have as much utility, but F minus the talisman? I mean, it does have good evasion, man. I mean, 25% evasion is... I've watched in the early game fights, dude, where I put talisman on a unit, and like the guy will just keep whiffing on him. It doesn't always happen because it's only 1 in 4, right? But sometimes it can make a difference. That's a game-related feature. It's a low tier if you don't generally use it. Yeah, agreed. I guess in that case, it's C or D tier then, since right now it's not getting used as much, right? Honestly, it's probably D tier right now. Like right now, today, it's probably D tier. But this can change if Priest becomes meta again. I think that's fair. I'm gonna put that note. I'm gonna put a note that says that it counters it, so we'll still have that written on the tier list for people so that they understand that it does have utility. Alright, Erosion Blade. To me, Erosion Blade is hot garbage. I would say it's like D tier. Alright. Iron Chain. We've only got 2 more, guys. Let's get through this real quick. Iron Chain. Might as well not make the list if the list is this bad. It's so funny, dude. Listen, I'm trying to take everyone's opinion into account when I make these placements. I'm not just doing it based on what I think. I'm only taking what I think into like 10 to 20% of the opinion. Who wakes up and thinks about picking Iron Chain? I think it's better than Crystal Axe. Yeah, I kind of think it's better than Crystal Axe. I almost think it's D tier. Can I convince you guys that it's D tier? Does anyone want to listen to that? Or am I off my rocker? Do I need to lay down? Is Grandpa tired? Erosion in F is better than Sword in A? Really? For real? It's so funny, dude. Alright, Sorcery Box. Last one. I think Sorcery Box, I often take it, honestly. Especially if I have goblins. If I have 3 goblins, or if I have an early Thunder Spirit, or an early Aegis, Sandbound Aegis, I always take Sorcery Box. I think it's like A tier. Sorcery is really bad. Source Box is hot garbage. It's so funny how conflicting our opinions are. Sorcery doesn't get much value because its area is small. Yeah. Well, I always think of on Sandbound, okay? You put it on Sandbound. Sandbound hits all this area with its ability. Like this whole row, like this, like 2x3 area, basically. That's all you need it to cover. So many people like clump all their units in the front middle of the board in the early game, which makes it good. If people spread out more, it'd be less good, but they don't. Maybe we'll throw it in B tier since there's some differing opinions. I think it's A, but I can be convinced to put it in B for now. You can use it entire game. I mean, if I play the Sandbound build, I use it the entire game until the very end almost. If I play it in like 3 mage, 4 shaman, I use it almost the entire game. Like you can have it the entire game and it be valuable. Honestly, I think it should be A tier, but I've convinced myself. It's my stream. I can do what I want. I can make the rules. Sorcerer's Box. Bam. A tier. Yeah, it's obviously really bad against assassins. Bro, ain't no way this is an A. Sorcerer's Box is good for reforging. All right, we're gonna make a note for. We're definitely gonna make a note for Spirit Talisman. Do we need to make a note for anything else, guys? Whoops. Does anything else need to be noted? Maybe Blood of Echo? We need to move stuff around because everything is D and C? What's wrong with that? Why can't everything be D and C? Lots of this shit is bad. The 2 mana items should be A and B instead of B and C? Yeah, I can definitely agree with that. I was probably going to do that anyway. Alright, do we want to move anything else around? Honestly, I'm not crazy about this list, guys. I kind of feel like a lot of it's wrong. The list is all wrong, yeah. I'd put sword, attack speed, and sorcery box in B. The list isn't wrong. It's basically how Will thinks of each item. But I'm trying to, like, not do it based on what I think. I'm trying to do it based on what we collectively come to a consensus on. Or something close to that. Obviously, I have to make the final decision because I'm in control of the stream. But I think doing the common items might be the hardest list to do, honestly. Because they're all closely... Their power level of a lot of them is so close, it doesn't... And it doesn't make that big of an impact in the game, so you can't even really tell. Whereas some of the higher impact items, it's more obvious which ones are good and which ones aren't. I can honestly see, like, moving most of the stuff in D tier up to, like, C tier. And then, like, maybe moving HP regen up to B tier. Maybe that's too much second guessing. I'm making this slight adjustment. You guys let me know if you think it's good or bad. Moving up Erosion Blade and Magic Staff to C. And moving HP up to B. Or HP Ring of Life. You guys like that better? I'll never be happy till Blood of Echo's F tier. Yeah, I'm honestly surprised we didn't put more stuff in F tier, but... Alright, so we're going to quickly revisit all the lists we've done. We'll compare them to the Japanese list. From Kinpira. I think that's how they say their name. If you guys want to... Alright, it's Kinpira. If you guys want to look at their list, here's the link to it. This list is from January 28th. So it should not match ours just based off that alone. So keep that in mind. Please. This is their list for context. So the reason they have the reason they have Spirit Talisman as an S tier was because Priest was really good back then. But Priest isn't really in the meta right now as much. They do have the Mana Crystal in S tier as well, which I can see that opinion. We have an A tier. It's not that big of a difference. They don't really like Sorcerer's Box as much as I do, but I think most people in chat agree with their opinion that it's not that good. So I could be convinced to move Sorcerer's Box down. Where do you guys want to put Sorcery Box? I think we should switch Sorcerer's Box and down to C and maybe move maybe I think we should do a match a lot of what they have, honestly, now that I've thought about it and read through their whole webpage. Alright, I'm gonna move Ring of Life up to A tier. I'm gonna put Sorcerer's Box in B tier. Because you can't convince me that Sorcerer's Box belongs on the same tier as Magic Staff, dude. There's just no way. But I think we need to move, we need to move Erosion Blade up to B tier as well. I think this is what we need to change. We cool with this? I think Club might be B tier. Wooden Club? I just don't really agree with their assessment that I just don't agree with their assessment that the Wooden Club and the Sword are B tier, and that they're worse than Life Crystal, and I just don't see it. I mean, they might be mathematically correct at it, that they're worse, but based on my feelings and based off of my frequency of picking, I wouldn't agree. Magic Staff, but that could just be because I'm bad at the game and they're good at the game. Also, keep in mind this is an older list from them, so this is a list we will publish then. Thanks again for your help, boys. Hey guys, Will's here. I want to start off by giving a huge thanks to everyone who watched this video until the end. I really appreciate that. If you guys enjoyed this tier list or found it helpful, it'd mean a lot to me if you could hit the like button. Hitting the like button really helps push this video out to more viewers. For those of you guys who aren't subscribed already, I'd really appreciate it if you could hit the subscribe button as well. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subs before the end of this month, so help me reach my goal. Your support motivates me to keep making more content like this, guys, so I really appreciate the likes, the comments, the subs, and just the views, so thank you guys. To end this tier list, I did decide to actually move the Ring of Life from A tier up to S tier. I did notice after finishing this list with chat, I played a few games, forced Ring of Life in the early game every time, and it was really easy for me to put it on a unit, and that unit just wouldn't die because it was regenerating so much life. So I do think it's S tier if you can get more than one copy in the early game. I do think it's probably the first item you should reforge though, once you start reforging items. I'd like to give a special shout out to Twitch chat for everyone who came into the chat, even if it was only for a little bit. Over the course of 2 days, we put together a list for each item rarity, so be on the lookout for the other lists. They're going to be dropping here on YouTube in the next couple days. If you'd like, you can bookmark the lists for your own reference. I'll be putting a link to all the lists in the descriptions of each of the videos once all the videos are released. If you guys like this type of content, please leave a comment and let me know. If there's anything that I can do to improve it for next time, also please let me know. I greatly appreciate your guys' feedback. So thanks again for everyone who made it to this point in the video. I really appreciate it, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Peace.